Today, we are going to look at an active learning method called peer teaching. Hi everyone, welcome back to our educational channel. First, we will look at the definition, and then we will look at how to practically implement it in your classroom. So let's get started with the definition. Peer teaching is an active learning method where students collaboratively teach concepts to each other in pairs or small groups. It is an effective approach that can be used in various educational settings, and it works from elementary school all the way to higher education. However, it is not recommended for kindergarten because the children are still very young and may not have the necessary language skills to effectively teach others. In peer teaching, students take on the role of both learners and teachers, which helps them to solidify their own understanding of the material and also develop their communication and interpersonal skills. This method encourages students to explain concepts in their own words, ask each other questions, and provide feedback, which are all essential components of the learning and teaching process. Now that we know the definition and we know what it is, let us look at a practical guide on how to use it in the classroom. There are first steps that you need to follow in order to successfully implement this active learning strategy. The first step is to assign a group task or project. This could be done by the teacher, or it could be assigned as homework for students to complete with their peers. For example, a teacher might assign a group task where each student has to become an expert on a different aspect of a particular topic, and then they have to teach that concept to their peers. Or a group project where students have to work together to solve a problem or complete a task. The second step is to define roles within the group if needed. Depending on the task or project, the teacher might need to define specific roles for each student in the group. This could include roles like facilitator, recorder, or presenter. For example, in a group of 4 students, one student could be responsible for leading the discussion, another could be responsible for keeping track of the group's progress, and the other 2 students could be responsible for presenting the group's findings to the class. The third step is to set clear goals and time frames. Before starting the activity, the teacher should clearly communicate the goals of the peer teaching session to the students. They should also set a reasonable time frame for completing the task or project. For example, the teacher might ask students to spend 10 minutes teaching their peers and then 5 minutes providing feedback to their classmates. The fourth and final step is to monitor and support groups as they work. While students are carrying out the peer teaching activity, the teacher should monitor the groups to ensure that they are staying on task and making progress towards their goals. The teacher should also be prepared to provide support and guidance to students as needed. This might include providing additional resources or clarifying concepts that students are struggling to understand. Once the groups have completed their tasks or projects, the teacher should facilitate a whole class discussion where each group presents their findings to the class and receives feedback from their peers and the teacher. And here is an illustration showing students engaged in the peer teaching active learning method. The scene depicts a dynamic and diverse classroom with students of different genders and ethnicities participating in the activity. The students are working in pairs, each wearing headphones and using a laptop. One student is sitting in a wheelchair, highlighting the inclusivity of the method. They are working together on a project, collaborating, and discussing ideas while looking at a tablet. Their desks are neatly organized with books and other materials, indicating a supportive learning environment. Overall, the illustration captures the essence of peer teaching as a collaborative and engaging method of learning. The focus on technology and diverse learners further emphasizes the accessibility and effectiveness of this approach in today's classrooms. And remember, good teachers don't just teach, they inspire. That's a wrap for today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.